Darryl Strawberry, welcome to Greenville, North Carolina.
It's great. It's great to be here. I'm looking forward to like a very special night and just getting here and coming through this facility, building hope is it was really awesome. It's really awesome what they're doing here.
I wanted to ask you, building hopes, changing lives. We just got a tour of the facility here. What are your thoughts of the program here? And because you're going to be their keynote speaker.
I think this is what it's all about. This is what life is really all about. The importance of people helping people. James and his team is laying such a great foundation of who they are and what they do to try to help kids. I think kids are being led all the wrong ways, and when you have a program like this, it brings structure to them. And kids need structures. They need hope. They need open hands, and they need it from adults to be able to do it because that's the only way it's going to get done. And if we take the time out and realize how precious, when you look at these faces of these kids, you realize how precious they are and the opportunities that they all deserve in life. No kid sign up for a broken life. And a lot of times, a lot of kids end up in a broken situation. I did myself.
Yeah, it sounded like during the tour you were talking to Pastor James that it seemed like you really kind of connected with this place, that it may have been something that Darryl Strawberry would have liked growing up in Los Angeles.
Of course, I think we all would. Growing up in the hoods, we call them, and those are neighborhoods, and you grow up in them, and it's a lot of things that happen in those places that you're not supposed to see as a kid. And I saw those in my neighborhoods growing up, and you make a decision. Either you're going to go the wrong way or the right way. And we didn't have programs like this where you can go to a place and find hope. If you're struggling in school, they send you here to get the hope that you need, and that's what's great about this. And it takes community to come together to be able to do that, and it's really nice to be a part of that tonight.
Was baseball your hope of getting a new life for yourself?
Baseball was my hope. Sports was my hope of getting out of the ghetto. It was just like you play sports, or you end up in gangs, or you end up on the streets dealing drugs, and you end up in a life that you can be very broken and lose your life. And so many kids will lose their life in the streets because they don't feel like there's any hope. And so I was fortunate to be able to enter into baseball at the right time, and it led me down the right road to be able to get out where I was and make a name for myself and hopefully take care of your mother.
Yeah, you did a lot with baseball. You were a phenomenal player. I enjoyed watching you play. I mean, I always said earlier that when Darryl Strawberry came to bat, you stopped what you were doing because you knew something great could happen. Talk about your baseball career. You number one pick, multiple-time All-Star, three-time world champion. Do you reflect a lot about baseball in your current Darryl Strawberry life?
No, I don't anymore. I used to, really be all into it. Of course, when I was playing, and it was fun. It was a dream that came true. And when you believe that you can get out and do something great, you have to believe it to achieve it. And I was one of those kids that was in the neighborhood that wanted to do something great, and baseball was my avenue. I mean, I had different opportunities to do different things, play other sports, but baseball was my driving force, and I wanted to be able to excel at that at the highest level. So I taught myself how to do that, and I think a lot of kids are good at that, teaching themselves how to get to the next level, to play, to be successful, so you can take care of your family. And that was the big dream that I had growing up when I grew up in South Central. But at the same time, it's life challenges, because I grew up in this dysfunctional family. My dad was like a raging alcoholic. So I was broken before I ever put the uniform on. People just saw me put the uniform on. But the uniform really covered up my pain. The pain was always there and never went anywhere. I had to deal with it throughout my life and career. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad my story is what it is today, because it's the glory that comes behind your story if you, seek for the right things and seek a new foundation. And that's what I ended up doing. I ended up seeking a new foundation through the pain of what I had to go through and the struggles, but I ended up finding the cross and finding God, and now I get to truly live a life of freedom, and I think that's the important message that we all need to carry, because God brings freedom in a life no matter what happens to you, no matter where you come from.
you had so many great moments in sports that hit such great highs, and then when you reflect back, also, I mean, you've had some setbacks between where you battled cancer or addiction is obviously well documented. What about those moments when you reflect back? How have set you up to who you are today?
But it's so funny because I think a lot of times we don't know and don't understand why we have to go through some things, but for some reason, some of us do have to go through some things so it can work out for the good, and then it will be able to be a great example to others, to help others, to encourage others to fight, never give up, never quit. Because had I quit and gave up on baseball, which a couple of times I had thought about it early, and had I quit in life because I went through cancer and I went through addiction, I ended up in a Florida State prison with a T17169. Had I quit, I wouldn't be the man that I am today. I wouldn't have the message that I have today because I gave up on it. And if you don't give up, God doesn't give up on you. And that's what people have to learn about themselves. And that was my greatest lesson to learn because my mother already knew that I was going to go through. She had kind of prophesied that over me because my mother was a woman of faith. And she said, well, God's going to get it out of you. And I'm sitting here today because of her legacy of what she left for her kids. She was a great example of what it's like to live through pain and struggles and still be faithful. So she taught all of us that, and I learned a valuable lesson by watching my mom, and I'm grateful for the fact that she was that great example. I didn't have a male figure in my life like most kids don't have male figures in their life, so they usually stray away and go into all kind of things. And I was no different than anybody else just because I played baseball and put on a uniform. You look good, but what do you look like on the inside? And that was the story of my life is what I was looking like on the inside. I was completely broken and I needed to meet the healer to be able to be healed. And I met him and now I can really live the abundant life that Christ talks about.
Sounds like your mom was probably your hero, I guess. Were there any other heroes and mentors in Darryl Strawberry's life throughout your life?
Just mom. Yeah, I'm just mom sitting here. Of course, I had heroes when I looked at his favorite players when I played baseball, Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle. But as an example, it was my mother. And I think that's why I came out of the other side of it. And the man that I am today is because of her. She was that pillar. She was that strength. She was that everything that walked in front of us and we could see, taking care of 5 kids by herself. So that's a lot when you grow up in a household like that and it's just one parent and one person's working and providing for her kids and making a way for her kids. She taught us some valuable lessons about life, and that I could sit here and say that I am truly grateful for that.
Got to talk baseball for a little bit because you were a hero to so many people growing up in the 80s and 90s of watching Darryl Strawberry play and hit home runs and make great plays on the baseball diamond. Who were some? Are there any moments you think about from your baseball career that stand out? Do you ever? I mean, you got to reflect some and have some favorite teammates or moments that you really cherish.
Well, of course. I think about the moments of playing and think about the moments of winning. 1986, 1996, 98, 99 with the Yankees 3 years. I won 3 championships, and 86 with the Mets won my first championship. And that's what you play for. If you're a player growing up, you watch baseball all your life. You see all these great players of the days while you were watching them, seeing Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, and Joe Morgan, the Cincinnati Reds, and Dodgers, Davey Lopes, Steve Garvey, I can go name, Dusty Baker, all those guys, you watch those guys play growing up and you go to yourself, one day I want to do that. And that's what it was for me. One day I got to that place and it was me. And now I get to play at this level and play in New York City. Of course, the expectations there are big, so you better be ready to play because they're going to let you know if you're not. So, and I always loved the challenge of that and got to experience that. And it was great. It was great. Everything, the personal things are like that I achieved are great, but the winning of championships is greater because, my personal goals were set out to, hit big home runs and do all that stuff in the playoffs and stuff like that. And I got a chance to do that, but it's all about a team concept of learning how to win. A lot of guys will play this game and they'll never win. And you'll go home and your career be over, and you'll wish you got into that winning circle because everybody only remember you when you're in that winning circle.
Yeah, winning is everything.
The
They say that. I see you got a ring on. Do you wear? Is that what
1986 championship.
the 1986? So
Yeah,
are you
that's the first one.
the Mets? Is
Match.
that the most important one to you?
It is because they, retired my number last year, June 1st.
Right.
So my number's up at the top of the stadium forever. It's retired. Nobody's wearing it again. So that kind of means something. Like you was some big deal, I guess.
You are a big deal.
That's what they make it out of. Like you're some big deal after they retire your number. You did a lot. You did a lot for the city, for the fans. So um, I'm just grateful for that.
What did George Steinbrenner mean to you?
Yeah, the boss, he was everything. He was a people's person. Remind me of all the great things he did outside of just being the owner of the Yankees. I think his favorite thing was like the Children's Hospital in Tampa, Florida, the Boys and Girls Club in St. Pete, Florida. He was a big part of giving to those kind of programs, to help those programs to send kids to go forward. I think he had a big heart about kids, people, who were going through things to always go forward and never quit and never give up.
You're very outspoken about your faith now. When did you really become a believer 100% with your heart?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I got saved in 1991 at a crusade in Anaheim, California, by Dr. Morris Cirillo, and I accepted Christ, but I didn't go through discipleship, and I went back out, and I was out for a long time, and then I came back over 20 years. My wife Tracy is the one who led me back into church and led me back to the Lord, and after sitting for a long time and getting discipled, and I was eventually able to grow, and then God was able to go ahead and send me because now I was ready and equipped. Because I think it's not just about people saying I'm a Christian, about learning how to live biblical principles every day, not some days. Some people want to do it halfway, straddle the fence, and that was me. I didn't want to straddle the fence anymore, so I came all the way in after my wife led me back into church, and we grew together, and God grew us and gave us a ministry to go win the lost and go share the gospel to the hurting.
What would Darryl Strawberry today tell Darryl Strawberry that's 20 years old?
Should have listened to your mama.
Always good advice.
Should have listened to her. She told me, leave the girls alone, stop drinking, and go to church and walk with God. They want to listen. I was hard-headed. I wanted to do it my way. So guess what? I always say you can pick your sins, but you cannot pick your consequences. And the reality of my sinful picking ways, I had major consequences with them.
What does success look like for Darryl Strawberry today?
Walking with Jesus, being a true evangelist, winning souls, going back to help the needy, encouraging those and bringing hope. I think that's the most important thing that I could ever achieve in this lifetime. It's not my baseball career. It's the souls that are coming in because God is using me through his spirit to lead people. And no matter how far you go down, God still can pick you up, and God still can redeem you and rescue you and restore you to wholeness.
Darryl, you are such a giant in baseball, but I really feel your vibe here today of your heart and your passion for helping others. What do you hope to leave Greenville with when you depart here after the speech tonight?
Well, I hope the Spirit of God falls tonight and help people to understand that we're here to help. That's what we're here for, the Building Hope project. We're here to help kids. We're here to pour into their life and give to them. And that's the message that I want to bring tonight, because that's the message I have in my heart, because God helped me when I couldn't help myself. So we as people, he turns your message into a message to go give to somebody else so they can help and turn a whole city into what it needs to be turned into for these precious kids that walk through these doors. They are the ones that are important. All of us, we've lived our life, we're adults, and we have a chance. We have a chance to do the work. As long as we're still here and we have breath, we got a chance to do great kingdom work to help the younger generation.
Well, Darryl, thank you for your time today, and appreciate all the greatness you're bringing to the world now with your messages.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, that was great, man.